Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great day so far. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And today is our last bit of a sew along that we've been working on. This is the final video tutorial for it. We are in week 11 of the Oh So Delightful Beautiful Quilt by Kimberbell. I am so happy and that is one of the blocks. So happy that I'm finishing this because it's a really big deal for me to finish things that are not like super fast. When we start talking about multiple hoopings, then I start backing up and be like, oh, I'm gonna do it later. So I am so glad that y'all did this with me and that we were able to motivate each other to complete this gorgeous quilt. And today is the last bit of it. And what we're going to be doing today is adding the binding around the edges. And also we're going to be adding some little triangles to help make a holder for like a rod to go through so that we can hang this quilt up. So I'm excited to be finished and done with this project, and I can't wait to hang it up on my wall. So it's so pretty. So pretty. I love it. So thank you if you have been on this journey with me. I appreciate y'all helping to motivate me, and I hope that I help to motivate you, and that we're getting it done. So yay, yay, yay. And if you're watching the replay, congrats to you that you are almost to the finish line. All right, so I'm gonna check the chat real quick. Hello, Joe. How are you doing? Yep, looks like it's just us today. Oh, thank you, thank you. This is my natural curly hair. This is my Elise hair. This is what me and her call it because she likes it when I match her. But yeah, my hair is typically curly, but it's not like it doesn't want to curl the way I want it to curl, so I don't fix it this way too often. But thank you, thank you. So today's live, we are doing a little bit earlier than normal. Previously, we've gotten together every Thursday at 10:30 in the morning. But last night, I realized I thought only Abigail had a half day of school today because she's in middle school. But the elementary schools also have a half day of school today. And today is their last day of school. So they were ecstatic. I know Elise is going to come running off the bus before lunch because she gets off early, screaming freedom. So I'm gonna have to take a video of that because y'all are gonna get a kick out of it. She is so funny when she gets off the bus, when she knows it's like a holiday or like an extended break, and summer break is gonna be the biggest. So anyway, I realized yesterday that, oh, Elise is getting off the bus at like 11:30. So that's not going to do well. I know I'm not going to be finished with this binding if we start at 10:30. So I posted in my Facebook group to see if anyone had any, like if they would rather we do it earlier or we do it later. So I gave some options, and a couple people said earlier. Some people said that it doesn't matter. So I voted for earlier so that we can get it done before the girls get home from school, because I know they're going to be so excited and probably want to go swimming or go do something. So I didn't want to make them mad by saying, oh, I have to go teach class. So we're here early. It's 9 a.m. Central Time here in Louisiana, and it is May 22nd, so of 2025. So this is the last installment of this sew along. But if you're watching the replay, you can watch all the previous weeks and go at your own pace. Like if you want to get this done, you can keep watching them, or you're just doing it in your free time. Just click on the video for the next step that you are on. I just realized Owen's in my room with me. Come say hi, Owen. And then I'm going to kick you out. Say hi. He's like, no, I don't want to look at you. There you go. There's my pretty boy. Right, you get out. So you are just going to go jump on my machine. That's what he likes to do. All right. Hi, Yvonne. All right. So today we are going to be going over binding and adding some things to the back of the quilt to allow you to hang it up on the wall and like put a curtain rod through it. So that's what we're working on today. And I also, depending on time, there's one embellishment I still haven't added. So there's a hand sewing step with adding the pieces to allow the curtain rod to go through. So maybe when I have that out, I'll also finish an embellishment that I didn't do for the sewing machine. But let's go over the supplies that you're going to need today. And it is, if you bought the fabric kit, you should have gotten a 1/4 yard of this floral fabric. And you are going to want to cut 4 strips of that are 2.5 inches wide. Okay. So I've already done that. With these, you don't need any Pellon SF101 on the back. They don't need any kind of interfacing. So you're just going to cut 2.5 inch wide strips, and that they're the whole width of the fabric, and we have 4 of them. I actually didn't measure, but typically what I do when I'm figuring out binding for a project is I measure the perimeter of the quilt. So like if I know my top is 26 inches and my 34 is here. So I've got about 38 inches long, and what I said, 26 inches wide. So I would do 26 plus 26 plus 38 plus 38, and that's going to give me the perimeter of the quilt. And that's how, now when you're going with your strip, you want your strip to be the perimeter plus, I'd give yourself 10 to 12 inches extra, so that when we put it together, it will fit nicely, and you got some wiggle room for putting the last step of the binding on, because that could be a little tedious. So I actually didn't measure this to see what I had, because I'm assuming since I bought the fabric kit, they're going to give me more than enough. But if you're cutting your own fabric, you're going to want to measure the perimeter of your quilt and then add 10 to 12 inches, and that's how long you want to be able to, when you combine your strips, which that's what I'm going to go over next. When you combine them, see, like this is where 2 ends meet right here, you'll have that length. Okay. So you have 2.5 inch strips of fabric. All right. Now I started on this, but let me get to the point where I finished. Okay. So here's the end. And I'm going to take the end of my strip and I want it face up. And so this is my next strip. So you see these strips, I think about 30, about 42 inches long, these strips being the width of the fabric. And I'm putting them all to where they're all in a row. So I have this piece of strip, the end of one is face up. I'm going to take my next strip, taking an end, and I want it right side down. Okay. And I'm going to place it right on top of my other strip. And this is where they're going to connect. Let me move this out of the way. All right. And I like to do it on my cutting table, on my mat, so I see my grid lines. Okay. So I'm going to line this up right here. I could see it's 2.5 inches. And this is the end of my other strip, right sides together. And we're going to kind of make a backwards L here. All right. Then what I like to do is take a little ruler and a fabric marker, because I am not good at sewing straight lines without some kind of guide for myself. But essentially what you want to do is you want to sew a line from this corner to this corner. And I kind of can't see that corner because it's under the fabric. And that's why I like to use my, lay it on my cutting table, so that, okay, I know the corner is right there where this mark is. I know that's that corner, and that corner is there, but I can see it because this fabric is on top. So when it's like that, then I'll take my little ruler and I'll go from corner to corner and give myself a little bit of extra room so that when I actually draw it, it's in the center. And I'm going to use my water soluble fabric marker to draw myself a line. Okay, so that's done. And now, to be even extra, because I know I'm going to mess this up when I carry it to my sewing machine, is I'm going to pin it on either side of that line, just so that I'm keeping these two pieces of fabric just how I want them. All right, so this is how you're combining your binding. Okay, you got your one strip face up, one strip face down. Make kind of that backwards L, and then draw a line from point to point and put some pins to hold it in place. And this is where we're going to sew, right on this blue line. Oops, that I have here. Okay, go from there to there. Now what's going to happen when I do that, let me show you a piece I've already done. So here is one I've done already, and you could still see my blue line. I took my pins out though because I've already stitched it. And so now what's going to happen is when I pull the other strip like this, I now have a nice continuous 2.5 inch wide strip. Now we still have to trim this. I was waiting to do that once this one was sewn, and we'll trim them all together. That is how to put together binding. So let me know in the comments if that makes sense and if you have any questions, but we're going to go to the machine now, and I'm going to run my stitch line down this blue line that I made. And it should be when you put your pins in, you shouldn't have to take them out while it's sewing because it's not going where the needle is actually going to hit them. But I'll get my needle right underneath the start of my corner here. And I'm using that quilting stitch now that somebody pointed out to me last class. So on my machine, I have a piecing stitch, and it's where my needle is in the middle, and it does an automatic locking stitch at the beginning, and then I have it set up to do a locking stitch at the end as well. And then I have my little laser line here, which is also super helpful for people like me who can't sew a straight line to make sure I stay where I'm supposed to go. And I still have on my dual feed move it foot that came with my brother Stellaire. And this is the foot I'm going to be using when we attach the binding as well. It's super helpful, especially for big chunky things like this quilt that we're going to be doing. But now, I can take these pins out. We have our binding strip sewn on a bias. They're all connected. And all I have to do now is go trim these extra pieces off, and we're going to press those seams open. Got my iron. Wake up. All right, and we're back here. So this is, what was the direction we had it? We had it like this on the table. So I sewed this way, and now I pull it open and it's connected. You do want to, what I like to do, because I always second guess myself, am I doing this the right direction as far as like the sewing? Pin it on either side, and then before you sew it, pull it over like this and be like, okay, this is going to work right. Because I've done it before where I have sewn it the other direction, and when I pulled it, it didn't line up right, and I was like, oh no, I need to, it just helps me double check that I am drawing my line in the right direction, because I have done it wrong. and you will probably too. So double check yourself before you go to the sewing machine and actually, with it pinned, pull it apart and see, okay, yes, this is right. All right, so now that we have our sewn strips together, I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm gonna hold it to where it's my sew line is on the quarter inch mark on my ruler, and I'm going to trim off these bits, which I'm not having luck with my rotary blade this morning. There we go. A little more pressure. So now we have it like this, and it's trimmed, and we're going to go and press these seams open so that we don't have too much bulkiness happening on, not pressing them to the side, but to the center, so that we reduce the bulkiness that's going to happen in that seam. But there is our finished connected binding. All right, so I'm going to go, where are we? Trim the rest of these, and then we'll press them open. So when you're doing the 4 pieces, you only end up having 3 places to connect them, which is not bad at all. Right. So now that's done. I'm gonna say I lost my ironing mat. There it is. And we are going to iron these open. And before I started trimming my strips for the binding, I did press the whole piece of fabric with some starch just before I even cut anything. So I do highly recommend pressing your fabric with a little bit of starch before you start cutting. All right. Hi, Lori and Dee and Faith. I hope y'all are all having a good morning. Thanks for joining me early today. So get this ironed, and then we'll talk about the little triangle things I learned about. Oh, and another step I forgot we got to do. All right, so once we have our binding and it's all connected kind of seamlessly, let's see. So here's my line right there. So it's hard to tell. Depending on the fabric you're using, if you're using like a directional fabric, you may want to take a little more care with sewing it so that, things line up correctly. But this is such a busy pattern. It's really hard to tell, where that connection is right there. All right. Once you have that all done, now you want to press it in half with the wrong sides together. And I've seen where people have like a little thingamajig. They put this in, and then they just end up pulling the tape, your binding tape through it. But I just work my way down. It don't take long. They'll leave their iron and just pull it through. So while I'm ironing this, let me tell you about the triangles. These are the pieces that we're going to incorporate in the binding on the back that are going to act like little holders for a curtain rod or quilt hanging rod to go through. And you are going to start with a square. I decided to do 6-inch squares, and I'm going to have 4 of them. I haven't really looked at it and measured to see if I'm going to need all 4, but I just cut myself a strip of fabric and I got 4 squares out of it, so that's what I'm starting with. So you're gonna need some squares of fabric. The size is kind of optional. 6 is probably a little big, but not too big. And you are just going to iron them on the diagonal to create kind of the little pocket. It looks like a pocket handkerchief thing to me. But I'll show you that in a second when I'm done ironing this. And this idea was suggested to me in my membership group, but they said to go watch Becky at Power Tools with Thread. She had a couple videos on it. So that's where I got this method from. And then I think she got it from somewhere else she mentions in her video. But it seems like a really simple yet handy method. The only thing with the method is there is a little hand stitching bit to it, where I was watching Becky's video and she cracks me up because she said, this is the only time you're going to see me hand stitch something. And I can relate to her on that. Most definitely, because putting these embellishments on this quilt, hand sewing, I learned I am not good at hand sewing at all. Even the simple things like making a knot, I struggle with. So I need to watch some hand sewing tutorials and teach myself, learn myself how to do this better. All right, almost done with ironing the binding. All right, last piece. All right, and this is where you can like pull it through. Make sure it's all on there good. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to leave my iron there too long. Okay, so now we have our binding strips are all sewn together and then ironed in half. All right, now for the little triangles we're going to use to hold our quilt up on the back, we're going to start with, I'm doing a 6-inch square, and I'm going to fold it in half and make a triangle. And then you're going to fold it in half here and make another triangle. So very simple. And now you do create a little pocket here when you do that. You do create a little pocket here when you do that, but this is not where the quilt is actually going to go through because this side is not open. You are going to sew this into the binding like this. And here's the back of your quilt. And this is where we're going to hand stitch the tip of this triangle to the back of the quilt. And then the rod will will go underneath the whole triangle and serve as a kind of rod holder situation. So that's why we need to tack the bottom of this to the back of the quilt with some hand stitching. So it is optional if you have this open bit of your triangle. If you want to stitch this closed, you can, but I don't think it's necessary. So we have all of that. And we have our binding. So there are lots of different methods to do binding. I'm going to show you what I like. But by all means, if you try this and you're like, oh, there has to be a better way, there is. There are lots of ways. So I really struggled with wrapping my head around binding when I first started. I was like, I didn't get it. And so I feel like I have it somewhat now. But again, if you're going to do this, it's probably it. I always struggle at the end when you're connecting your two ends. Do this. Here's the other end. Here it is. Okay. So say you go all around with your quilt. It's going to be like this. Getting, oh wait, I'm doing this wrong. You'll see when we're done. But you have this ready to go. It's connecting these two pieces where they fit flush perfectly. And I'm doing a method where I connect them just like I connected my strips on a bias. I'll end up opening this and opening this while the rest of it is all sewn to the quilt. I'll end up trying to recreate that backwards L and doing the line here, but when I pull it taut, it should not have any bubble or anything. It should be nice and tight. So that's the method I'm using. I've seen other methods that I'm interested in trying, but I didn't want to try it today because for my first time, I want to try it, on my own. But I've seen other methods where this first one here, they don't sew both of them down. They just open it. So when they're done, it creates a pocket. And they just have a pocket right here. So that's another easy option that you can try but you'll fold it and stuff to where you don't have a raw edge. But something like this, and you'll create like a little pocket for your end to go in. And that, I think, makes it hard to mess up to where things aren't nice and tight when you're done. And there's other options. So how you close it up is option one. Another option is which side do you start with sewing your binding on? I'm choosing to add it to the top first and then fold it over to the back. And I'm going to use the stitch in the ditch method to sew right at the edge of my binding here. And that's going to catch this on the back. All right. My mother-in-law tells me the proper way to do binding is to sew it on the front, roll it over to the back, and hand stitch. I forget what kind of stitch she told me it was, but it's like a hidden stitch where you hand stitch it to the back and it looks beautiful. I will never have time for that until I'm probably her age, like not working and just home and playing with my grandkids. Then I might have time to do that. But right now I do not have time to do that. So I want to machine stitch everything. And then to confuse you even more, another option would be to actually start on the back, sew it on the back, then flip it over to the front and try to sew it right along this edge with like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So again, there are lots of options with binding. Today, I'm going to show you the method that I personally like the best. So don't think that this is the only way. And my method is starting on the front of the quilt, line up raw edge to raw edge, and give yourself some slack here. And I usually like to start on the side, middle of the quilt. So something like this. And I'm actually going to start stitching here. This is all going to be my wiggle room to connect things when we're done. So I'm going to start stitching here. This is going to end up being a hole when we're done to connect things, and I'll stitch that last. So starting here, and we're going to keep going all the way around the quilt. And then I'll show you when we get here, there is a method for making your mitered corners. So you have something like this, and I'll show you that at the machine. All right. I don't typically pin anything. Maybe when I get to the corner, I might, and that will probably be at the end. But I typically just go with these two things and start stitching and just line this up as it go. And I just have this hanging. So let me know if you're confused and if you have any questions. Like I told y'all, binding took me a while to wrap my head around it. And we're not going to worry about the little triangles that we made until we're ready for the back of the quilt. Okay. So I have my move it foot on with my 1/4 inch seam allowance helper guide, and laying my quilt, got my binding, and I'm going to give myself, I'd say, at least 6 or 7 inches extra. I'm not going to start stitching till right here. So I have all this extra here that I'm not stitching down yet. And I'm just lining up the edges and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I can't see the comments when I'm over here at my machine, so just give me some time to answer you when I get back over there. And this is going to be some fighting with my quilt. This is about the same size as that baby quilt I did for my nephew at the beginning of the year. But I feel like this quilt's thicker because we have a lot more going on. His quilt was just like a panel quilted to a back piece, you know, with batting in the middle. So it wasn't as thick in the middle part. So I could fold it up and stuff easier. This one, a little harder to move. And I forgot to mention, I am just using white thread for this. This stitch is going to get hidden ultimately because it's going to get folded over. But I am, since I'm going to do the stitch in the ditch method to fold it over and get the back sewn, I'm going to use that invisible thread on the front to hide my mistakes even better than usual. All right, now we're getting to the corner. This is the part I want you to pay attention to. And let me zoom in. That's as far as I can get. All right. So here's the edge of my quilt here. Here's my binding. I'm going to get almost to this corner, and then I'm going to turn my quilt and sew right off this edge. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see that. let's try and get, I'm gonna get this camera as close as I can to my chair without me knocking it over. And that's as zoomed in as it lets me get. Okay, so there's the edge. I'm going to sew to like right here, and then I'm going to come off, and I want to kind of go in that corner right there. Watch, you'll see. So I'm going straight, 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 straight. A little bit more. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to turn my quilt and sew right off that point. All right, so what I've done is I've come here straight, 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 and then turned and came off the corner. So now when I do this, I get this nice point right there. So to get the mitered corner, so you come off there and then you cut. And then fold your binding strip up so that this edge lines up with this edge. And then you're going to fold it down where your folded edge lines up with this side of the quilt. So once you have that how you want it, and then maybe you should actually turn your quilt first before you do that. Making sure this doesn't move. Okay. Stay down, quilt. All right, so again, we sewed all along here, and when we got here, we sewed off to the corner. Okay, and now I can lift my strip up and line up this edge with this edge, and then fold it down and line up my fold with the top of the quilt in this case, or the side of the quilt, whatever. Okay. Now, once you have that, then you're going to start sewing again right on that edge of the corner. All right. Did I even get in the quilt? No. All right. And then start sewing again until we get to the next corner. And then sometimes you might need to use like a stiletto to help it move when you're at that very, very beginning. You can use a stiletto on this side and try to help it to move if you don't have this big old foot thing that I have. Or a walking foot is helpful. I need to pay attention to my bobbin too. I've learned with my machine, when I put in a metal bobbin, it doesn't do a good job of detecting when it's empty. The plastic bobbin, it detects, no problem. I have a metal bobbin right now. Yep. I still have bobbin thread. Yep. Check as I go. When I was doing Stitch in the Ditch last week, I was finishing off my quilt after the video, the live was over. Yeah, I ran out of bobbin for a good bit of what I thought I'd done. I did not. Okay, now we're at that corner again. And so I'm going to sew straight till I get close to the edge. All right, and now I'm going to turn it and go to that corner. Okay, so we have that corner going out there. Now let me turn things. Okay, so I have the stitch going straight and then off to the corner. So I could lift this up and then fold it down. Like that. Once you do this a few times, you get the hang of it. This is not the hard part, the binding to me. The hard part is connecting the two pieces. But I did have to watch a video like 5 times to finally figure out how to fold this correctly. All right. This thing does not want to move. Okay. Okay. Corner. Okay, now I'm gonna pivot and sew off that corner. Cut. I have all of this bulkiness. Let me try rolling this up. Short edge is easier to manipulate. Here we go. Now, again, we sewed off the corner, so we'll fold up, line up those raw edges, and then fold down and line up my folded edge with the top bit of this corner. Okay. We have one more corner to go, and then we'll go over how to join. Do I still got that? Yes. I'm getting close to the end here. Okay, pivot and sew off to the corner. Cut. And turn. All right, so now we have this sewn off, fold up, then fold down. Right. And then we're going to sew down, but not all the way to where it meets up where we started. That's where we're going to leave our gap. Okay. I'm probably going to leave a nice wide gap. Every time I do this, I'm like, oh, my gap doesn't need to be that big. And then I end up ripping stitches because I need a bigger gap. So I'm going to go just a smidge more. Okay. That should be enough. I'm probably giving myself way too much. Problem is I don't have, I needed to give myself a longer strip probably at the beginning. I'm blocking things. Okay. All right, that's good. And then either back stitch or lock stitch. Now we have most of our binding on, and we just have to join these two ends here. So let's go back to the craft table. And now I can look at any questions you may have posted while I was sewing. Okay. All right. Hey, Retha. Let's see. Let me scroll up. Hi, Iron Stitches. I am sewing the binding on our quilt that we've been working on for the past 11 weeks. Oh, so delightful, from Kimberbell. Hi, Sherry and Sandy. Yay, Retha finished hers last week. Did real binding for the first time. Yay. Cutting the, oh, okay. So I guess previously Retha did cutting the back fabric larger and folding it to the front. But this time she did the fold over binding like what we're doing today. So yay, good job. All right, I'm gonna turn my quilt. So this is the area that I did not sew. And this is where I want to connect these. So we'll end up connecting them in the middle here. Now I got this really long bit over here that I'm not using. What I want you to do is cut a piece off the end of this. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're looking at the width, not how crooked I end up cutting. Okay. So we cut a piece off the end. Now open up that piece. All right. That tells you how much overlap you need between your binding strips. So say this is the first one. I'll lay this down. And this, I'm trying to pick a spot in the middle where I'm going to join this. So this is kind of the middle of my hole. All right. So I'm going to lay this down. I should cut this piece to be even with this side of my little template. Then I'm going to lay this piece over and only cut this piece, not this one. And I'm going to cut this piece on this side even with my little template. And so when I'm done, the only bit of overlap I have between my two strips is the same width as my little template here, which is 2.5 inches. Okay. So that's what you use as your guide, is the width of the original strip that you started with. So I have that there. And I'm just going to cut this one there. All right. Now I'll fold this one. And only cut this top one. Don't actually accidentally cut your bottom one with it. And I'm going to cut that one there. All right, so now the only overlap I have is this. Once you have that, we're going to recreate what we did for connecting our strips. We're going to have this one face up, unfold it, and face up. This one, unfold it. And you're going to have to like pull things. This is why I probably should have made my hole bigger. See, every time. If your hole is not big enough, it is not the end of the world for you to use a seam ripper and give yourself some more wiggle room. Okay. I'm probably going to end up doing that. But, okay, again, this side face up, this side face down. Create my little backwards L. And I'm going to draw my line and pin it in place. And then I know when I'm done, it's going to fold over and it's all going to be connected. So it's just wrestling with it right now to get it to lay how I want. Yeah, note to self, give yourself more room than I gave myself. Told y'all I'd do it every time. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pin it. So I kind of got it. Another thing, maybe with this bit, I do better actually flipping it. Do that. Now, I could either take it to the machine and just try to sew it my diagonal line based on where things are, but I know myself and I'm not good at that. So I'm going to draw my line. Okay. So like I said, this to me is difficult, but when we're done, we should have the same outcome like we did for our connecting our strips together. So we're going to take this, fold this however you need to, so that I could take this to the machine and lie it flat and sew down that blue line that I made. Sew machine. Okay. Okay, there we go. Nice and flat. Let me just get my needle down. There we go. Needles down. And just pull this. And I'm probably making it a lot more difficult for myself by not making my hole bigger. I'm stubborn. I don't have my little stiletto. Boom. Here we go. This will help. There. Come back. Lost my bottom fabric. There we go. Alrighty. I thought I was going to use my stiletto, but I didn't. All right, go to the edge. All right, let's go see if we got lucky. All right, so front. Oh, did I do it right? I hope I did. Yeah. Nope. I do this every time. This is what happened last time. See, it's twisted. I did not do my L correctly. I think the L needs to go. It's not the same as my binding. I did this for my whatchamacall, nephew's quilt too. See, I end up having to seam rip things anyway. All right, but it would have been pretty if I would have stitched it in the right direction. So I'm just going to seam rip this bit open that I just did. Yeah, definitely have your seam ripper handy. Especially if you're like me and tend to sew things in the wrong direction. And I started to test it with my pins, but it was so tight that I didn't think I'd be able to get like the visual I need to make sure I did it in the right direction. So let me first stop fighting this and seam rip this bit and open this up a little bit more. Give myself a little more wiggle room. There we go. All right, let's try this again. So, and we're going to test it and make sure it's in the right direction. So it's not the same as when I put my binding strips together. So maybe this side down, this side up. Okay. So if I do it like this, and so this line. No, that's not right either. Thank you. It took me a few tries to get the binding in correctly. I'm not a quilter for short. Same here, Rita. Same here. All right, let me try this way and this way. So maybe not going, like before I had it like this, right? Let's try this way. Hey, and good news, my mark is still on there, so I don't have to redo it. Now, if I do this, I don't think that's right either. Let me just pin it. No, I'm doing something wrong where I'm twisting this. That's not right. Maybe I need to open it. Just when I told y'all I was comfortable with binding. Still don't think that's right. What did I do last time? Did I twist this? Yeah, I had it like this. No, I didn't. I had it like this. Let's try this direction. I think I did that though, right? I think that's right. That's going to give me what I need. Okay. So I just changed the direction. So last time I had it going from the top, but I have to have it going from the bottom. So this side opened up, right side up. This side open up, right side down, and make your L this direction. Let's go try that and see if it works. And if it's not right, it's okay. We just keep trying till we get it right. Okay. I think that's going to be right. Let's try it out. Oh, Karina says right sides together. Yeah, that's what I did. I got right sides together. Okay. Okay, wish me luck. Let's try this again. Oops. Okay, sorry I got this quilt all on me, so trying not to let it rub the microphone. All right, fingers crossed. Please be right. No, I don't think it's right. What am I doing? We're going to do the pocket method. We're going to do the pocket method. Because I obviously cannot do things. What am I doing? No, that's way wrong. That's even worse than before. Even worse. Okay, I should have practiced binding something before I started this video because it's been a few months since I've done it. I can't even get this thing ripped open. Come on. Get some. There we go. Okay, where is Norma when we need her? It's too early in California right now for her. Okay, my goodness gracious. Sew it at an angle and cut the excess fold over. So yes, so my problem is doing it at the right angle. So did I do, okay, right side up. I still don't understand why my first way is twisted. Do I need to sew it at the other angle? From this side to this side? I need to just put my pins in where I'm going to sew. Let's see how that looks. See, it's twisted. That's where I made my first mistake. Twisted. So what if I did? That's where it's like. Okay, if I can't get this, we're going to do that pocket method. That looks a lot easier. Oh, is that it? That's it. So I think it's just me not opening this the right direction. It's still right side down, right side up here, right side down. I think I was just opening this the wrong direction. So open it to where it feels like it's twisted is what it does, but that ends up coming out right. Okay, last try. If this doesn't work, then we'll do the pocket method. So do y'all see how this is to me is like it's twisted, but for some reason if I would sew it like this, it comes out correct. I think that's where my hiccup is. Like to me that's not right, but it's going to end up lying flat once that is sewn and trimmed. All right. Okay. This is the last try. Okay. Sherry's helping. Let's see. You need to do is put your right sides together like you did, but you're drawing your line from point to center incorrectly. You go from left to right where you were. Facing down in her lap, you be on you point will be the right of where you're sewing, and when you're done, that little point will be if you're looking at it from left to right. Okay, so sorry, I'm reading everything. You're saying the direction I'm going from here to here, it should be from this point to this point instead. Is that where I messed up the first time? Am I understanding you correctly? Because like how I was looking at it, I guess, yeah, from left to lower left to upper right. You're saying it should go from upper left to lower right? Let me know. But I'm pretty sure this is right now. I don't know why. I can't tell you why it's right, but when I pinned it, it came out right. So let's go try it. I'll come back and see what you say when I'm done with this. course, the last, step, the last video for this sew along is where I'm gonna have the most trouble. All right. Sherry said that was her aunt trying to explain. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry's aunt. All right. I think I got it right now. Huh? That's right. Now I just need to trim and iron that. So, but to me, it's still confusing how I did it and why it's right now. I think it's just the twisting of the opening that is and you kind of want to press this open. And pull this straight and press it in half again. So there we are with the connection. It's still not, it's not perfect because I still got, you see when I sew this, I got a little bit extra fabric. So one thing I could do is go sew right on the inside of this line again, make it a little bit tighter. So that's my line. I'm gonna sew like just a smidge on the inside of that, make it a little bit tighter. Or it could just continue and I'll just have like a wrinkle probably right here, something like that is going to end up happening. Let me just sew a little bit tighter and then I'm quitting because I want this to be just right. I'm not a quilter, so it's not going to be just right. That's what I think I like about Kimberbell. I machine embroidery first, that's what I know. So quilting, not my area of expertise. So it's a nice little challenge for me. Where it started. Yeah, that made it. Oops. Sorry about that. My microphone fell. Let's see. Sorry, she was saying so many words that YouTube would not keep stopping it. Sorry, no worries. No, Sherry, thank you. Thank you for trying to help me because you see that I am struggling and I need it. So I think I have this good now. Let's see. Let me watch where I'm going with this because I got specialty stuff on this quilt that I don't want to iron. So this side is not pretty, but that's okay. That side is going to be hidden. So I think that's going to be okay. So now that I finally got over that hurdle, my goodness, that was painful. Now we're going to go back and finish stitching up this hole that we have here. So we're just going to do the same 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way to here. Hopefully I won't have a wrinkle. But at this point, I don't care if I do. I'm not changing anything else. All right, so we're going to do that and close that hole up, and then we'll be ready to fold things over and finish the binding and add those little triangles in. Okay, so I want to overlap where I was before, definitely. So I'm just trying to get these stray threads to stay on the other side there. Okay, here we go. And then I think I'm back to where I already had stitching. Let me go a little further. And done. All right, so now that hole is all closed up. And when I pull this, it should work nicely. I got a bunch of thread I got to trim now. Oh, pin. What is that? Yeah, Dee says some of us have definitely been on the struggle bus. Yes, I am on the struggle bus. We have all been there before. All right, but we got it. We're done. We overcame. Yes, I love the colors too. I love this fabric for the binding. All right, so now that we have the binding sewn to the front of the quilt, we can fold it over. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold it over, and on the back, what we're hoping to accomplish is to cover, we're covering up the raw edge of the overall quilt. We're also kind of hoping to cover this seam that we made with sewing the front. So we should end up with something like this. Y'all see that? Fold it over, and then on the back, we're trying to cover this seam right here. So like that. And then, so we're going to clip all of this into place, going all the way around. You can even press it too. I've seen some fun tricks where people will, they'll put a line of glue right here, and then fold their binding over and press it to try to hold it into place while sewing. I've usually just folded over, pressed it, and clipped it is what I've done in the past. I have a lot of little threads happening, but I can trim all that stuff after. But yeah, so and now let's talk about the corners. So you fold all this over. When you fold this, you should have your nice mitered corner, but you want to have it mitered on the back too. So pull it over. So you're gonna fold it down on one side and then fold it on the other so that you'll get a corner. So fold it flat here, then take this one and fold it over. So you should have something like this when you're done. And then that's your front mitered corner. So I hope that makes sense. And I've seen it where people will put a pin in this particular spot to help hold their corners in place while they're stitching. And then they'll pull those, when they get to that point, they'll pull those pins out so that that corner stays nice like that on the back. So you can do that to your corners as well. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and start clipping things, and I'm not going to worry about ironing. Oh, let's talk about this now. Okay, so this is the top of the back of the quilt. So we can make our binding like this. All right, and now we're going to take our little triangles and yeah, I think we can fit all four. They'll just kind of be touching. I don't know if that is super. I think you have wiggle room to have some space in between them, but I'm just going to go ahead and put them pretty much where the points are touching. And I'm going to line this up with the raw edge of the quilt, the top of the quilt here. So something like this. And now I'm going to fold over my binding and clip into place. Okay, so we get over here. And then I'll put this pin in there. And then fold this over. I'm trying to make the pin go right in the point so that I have made that corner stay like that. All right, so that is for the top. So we can go ahead and go and sew that, but we're going to sew it from the front. And I'm going to use my invisible thread and go stitch in the ditch. So I'm actually going to start probably right here. So let me go ahead and I'm going to make that corner. I'll probably start here. We'll make that corner and go around so y'all can just see that whole process. And then you can see what it looks like on the back. And then what we have to do after, and you could do it before as well. It might actually be helpful to do it before so then this won't move because it's going to be under the needle, is you're going to just hand stitch the point of this triangle to the backing of your quilt. You don't want it to go all the way through the front, but just through the backing and maybe the batting a little bit. And now that's going to serve as your pocket so that your curtain rod can go and slide through your triangles and serve as a hanging rod, because this part is going to be tacked down. And I'm guessing that needs to be pretty strong because that's pretty much the pressure point. But I have my invisible thread already loaded on my machine. Let's try sewing it without tacking these down. Maybe do those after and see how it goes. And I'm going to switch to my stitch in the ditch foot accessory thing, which I need to find. This one? This one. All right, so that just pops right off. And that snaps on. And let me check my bobbin. I still got bobbin. Okay, and invisible thread. And I was going to use the invisible thread to tack down those little triangles, but I'm thinking about that now. No, I'm not doing that. All right, let's see. Which way do I want to go? I usually like to go. Yeah, I'll go this direction. Sorry if I'm covering everything up for a second. All right. All right, and now I am right in the seam of my binding and my border. Can y'all see that? Right in that seam right there, and that's where my little guide has it. And got the invisible thread, and let's try this out. I'm going the wrong direction, ain't I? Yes, I am. Wrong direction, Carly. And my thread is not even threaded. My needle is not threaded with my invisible thread. Now it's threaded. Okay, stay there. Alrighty. I had this the right way. Did? Yeah, I did. I'm going cuckoo. All right, let's try. All right, so just going right in there. Nope, I lost my top thread. I need to make sure I have a lot more. I'm not going to run that through the red color. Oh. All right, I want to have a long tail of this invisible thread. All right, that's a little better. And now let's try this again. It's still there. Okay. And I keep calling it invisible thread, monofilament, I think is the right word to use. And I have these pins in right here that I'm going to need to take out. Okay, get right in the corner and then turn. All right, so we got our corner, and now we're going to sew our little triangle pockets in with the binding. Okay, everything's, oops, staying where it should. All right, get to this corner and slow down. Get right in that corner and then pivot. And carefully get my pin out. And I'm going to go just a little bit further down and then we'll cut and go look at the back so we could see if we did a good job. Okay. Whoop. See daisy. Let's hope this goes better than my connecting my binding strips went. All right, so here's the front. Go straight threads. Front looks nice and pretty. The invisible monofilament thread helps hide any imperfections, like if I accidentally went up on the floral fabric and not being right in it. And also, like, depending on what color thread you use, if I used like a navy blue thread to blend in with the border, if I accidentally went up on my binding like I did right here, you would see that navy blue thread line, but with the monofilament, you don't. Now let's look at the back and see how we did with our little triangles. Are all now sewn into place very nicely, and our corners look really good because I went around I think those pins in the corners really helped. I got that tip from Becky at Power Tools with Thread too when I was watching her add the triangles. She showed how she did her corners with the pins in it. That helped a lot. So I don't know how well you could tell, but I have white bobbin thread. So we did the monofilament on top, white on the bottom, and that blends in nicely with the floral fabric, and you can't really even tell. So that is it. We got corners, we got triangles, and we have our binding added. So I think that's where I'm going to stop for today, because I think Elise is going to be getting off the bus somewhat soon. I might have a little bit more time to work on this, but what I mainly wanted to show you today is how not to to join your binding strips together. No, how to cut your binding strips, join them together, fold them in half. Then your different options that you have for sewing that to the quilt. Today I showed you sewing it to the front with the raw edges on the outside, and the very complicated task of joining those strips once you make it all the way around. There is a pocket method that I think is a lot easier. I'm going to try that next time instead of trying to pull my hair out and getting this to work right. But once you have your binding sewn to the front and all connected, we fold it over and do a stitch in the ditch on the front, and it will then sew it down on the back. And we added these little half triangles to be able to slide our curtain rod through to hang this on the wall. So my last step is to hand stitch the points of these triangles to the backing of my quilt and secure them in place. And that's going to be where now my rod can go through it and it's nice and secure here. So I'm going to do that off camera because that is a painful thing to watch me hand sew. But if you have any tips for me, please tell me. But hand sewn each one of those, and then we are officially done with Oh So Delightful. I am so glad we did this sew along, because I don't think I would have accomplished this without the sew along. It's just so pretty, and I know right where I'm going to hang it. So when I get it all done and on the wall, I'll take a picture and post it on Facebook and Instagram so y'all can see the final product. So let me know if you have any questions. So yay, I'm so glad. Retha, mine isn't perfect, but it's finished. Same here, girl. Same here. It is not going to be perfect, but it is finished, because y'all know my story of how I messed up. The first few blocks are not in the right order it should be. I think I used some different fabrics than what I originally thought I was going to use, or the orders of things. I ended up not sewing a button up here. I don't know, I thought it was too cluttered up here to have another button. I might, yeah, I think I'm just leaving that button off. And I still have to add the embellishment of the needle and the little spool of thread, hand stitch that on to the top of the sewing machine, and then I'll finish the binding. But that's it. So I'll definitely show you a picture. Oh no, one of my flower pins got bent. Probably should not add the embellishments until after we're done with the binding. Didn't think about that. I've learned my lesson though. With Main Street Celebration, bindings are at the absolute, the embellishments at the absolute end. Absolute end. But I'm super happy with this project, and I'll post a picture of it hanging on my wall. But I think binding really gives it a nice finished touch. I love the floral print right next to that navy blue fabric. All right, so that is it for this sew along. And good news is I've already started a new one. I am loving this so much that I've started a new one. And although she is smaller, she is still going to be a mighty accomplishment, because there's a lot of detail in this. So just to let you know, I want to say I added a the link to it down below, but if I'll go double check after. So, oh, thank you, Marina. Marina, you sure you put the right number in there? That is way too much, honey. Way, way, way too much. Please email me and make sure that's right. But thank you for thinking about me. Yay, I'm so glad. Marina, that is way too sweet of you. Way too sweet. She just sent $75 in the super chat thing on YouTube. That is, I owe you, honey. I'm going to mail you something. That is way too much, but thank you. Thank you very, very much. All right. Jenny says she's been listening and is going to make an attempt to make this, and she'll be watching. Yay. Thanks so much. So yeah, so for those of y'all that didn't follow along live, y'all have these replays whenever you get your kits in, whenever you get the time to sit down. My top recommendations are highly, highly, highly recommend prepping. And that means pre-cutting your fabric, adding your backing fusible interfacing to your fabrics, pre-cutting your batting, making a little envelope or Ziploc bag system so that when you do have time to sit down and do a block, all you have to do is grab that piece, which I'm going to show you like this, and you have everything to do that block. That is, I think, the biggest thing that helped me get over the hump of starting this. Like once I got this done, I was like, okay, I'm good to go. So now I feel like that is what I need to do for all of these larger projects. So with that said, the next sew along is going to be a bench pillow by Kimberbell. It's 4th of July theme, and it's called Main Street Celebrations. I've already recorded the first video, which is all the prep work and the introduction to this project. And I have a main page on my website for this sew along, and I did make another little cheat sheet to help you stay organized and know what to pull for each block. So you can go download that for free on my website. And if you are following along live in the end of May 2025, when you download this PDF, you'll get automatically tagged to get emails from me about this particular sew along. So every time I publish a new video, I will email you and say, hey, I have a new tutorial for you. You could go watch it whenever you're ready. That is now ready for you. And yesterday, so I filmed it, I think on Monday. Tuesday, I went on a field trip with Elise. Yesterday, I sat down and did all the prep work. And let me tell you, I was very, very, what's the word I was looking for? I almost didn't do. I was like, I'm just going to cut the background fabric and I'm just going to pull that applique fabric when I'm doing that block. I'm like, I'm not going to pre-cut all these little squares. I'm just cut it as I go. And then I sat down and I thought about it. I'm like, no, Carly, do it the right way. So I did. I went ahead and cut some strips of muslin from my stabilizer. I made myself a little basket. So this is a smaller basket, much smaller than Oh So Delightful. But I have this little bench pillow has 7 blocks. So I have 7 envelopes, one for each block, but they have lots of applique pieces on these blocks. And I did go ahead and cut all of them. And the embellishments are last. I didn't put embellishments in my envelopes like the buttons and the strings and those little, cute 3D things that I'm not even going to touch until the whole pillow is complete. But I put all the specialty fabrics that came in the embellishment kit that are going to be used for applique. So I have all of that made. And then what I think is going to be my favorite is the borders. I have my batting strips cut for the borders and the fabric, and there's a patchwork as the top border, and that's where I played with all my fabrics and I laid them out. And so you can kind of get a little sneak peek of what my border is going to look like with all my fabric, something like that. But it goes on. So you could see, like, it's going to be super cute. So I have all those cut and prepped. All of the background fabrics, all of the border fabrics have the Pellon SF 101 on the back. All of the applique fabrics, that is normal cotton fabric, I did put Heat and Bond Light on the back of those. And then all the specialty things like the glitter and the embroidery leather vinyl, they got clear vinyl. All of those, I didn't put anything on the back. Those are just as they are. So I got all that prepped, and depending on what the girls want to do this afternoon, I may try and film the next block. If they're just going to chill after school's over. So we'll see. But I'm hoping to have the next video done either today or tomorrow. But my goal is to like run through this and try and do a block every day so that we can have it done before June. Likelihood of that is probably slim to none. But that is my goal is to knock it out, because I want to have it and put it, on display, because 4th of July is like right around the corner. But yeah, that's the next sew along. I think I put a link in the description below this video, and if I didn't, I'll go do it as soon as the live is over. But if you just go to my website, carlybell.com, and scroll down to the blog section where you see all my latest posts, you should see a Main Street Celebration blog post, and click on that, and that's going to give you all the info. And then I'll also add all the videos to that page as we are done with them. All right. Thank you, Marina says, my Kimberbell fun. Thank you. That is very, very much appreciated. Kimberbell funds are expensive. All right. Retha said she ordered it with my link. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm now officially an affiliate for Kimberbell, which is a big deal. Very excited about it. So now whenever I tell y'all about the newest thing that I'm buying from Kimberbell, I can give you a link to their website, but it works as a referral link. So they know that you are going there buying something because I recommended it to you. And with that, I get a small commission off of any purchases you make. And all of that is super helpful because that helps fund my channel, and so that I can spend more money at Kimberbell as well. But the cool thing about referral links is it's no extra cost to you. So same thing like with my Amazon referral links, my Sewing Machines Plus referral link, whether you use my link or not, your price is the same. But I do appreciate you using my links because that helps a lot. Oh, and speaking of, we still have a week left of our Kimberbell giveaway. So they were nice enough, when I signed up to be an affiliate, they were nice enough to offer some punch needle embroidery kits for me to give away. So there is a link for that. I'm almost positive down in the description below. And you click on that link, and I think you put your name and your email. And then Kimberbell is going to contact 3 winners on June 1st of 2025. So the giveaway entry time is over the day before. What is that, May 31st? How many days are in May? The last day of May at midnight Mountain Time. That's the last chance to enter the giveaway. I did get confirmation, though, that unfortunately it is not available for our international friends. So you have to be within, I think, the continental United States in order to win. And they're going to pick 3 winners, and each winner is going to get one of their new punch needle kits that they just released this month that kind of have a 4th of July theme. So that goes along with our next sew along. So make sure you enter that before the end of May, and I'll be excited. If you win, please email me, because I don't know who the winners are. Kimberbell's picking them. So if you win, please email me or post on Facebook that you won. I want to see who wins. I'm very excited for y'all. So that's all our friends on YouTube and Facebook can enter. Oh, Marina says she just started the 3 mini wall hangings. I want to start those too, but I know I need to get this Main Street celebration done. So if there's a chance that I have time to sew over the summer with the kids home and in between all the traveling that we're doing, I want to make at least the little mini spools of thread. And then the one that looks like it has the jar with like pins and notions and stuff in it, I think those 2 I'm going to try to make first. But if I do, I'll just turn my camera on and film it and post them later so that y'all can see. Retha says she hasn't tried punch needle yet. Punch needle is fun. I haven't tried the Kimberbell version of punch needle though. They take it to like a whole new level. I got some little cute punch needle kits from like Target with the kids a while back, and it's fun. And I have a Kimberbell one that came in my Bella box, but I haven't opened it yet. So I may bring that with me actually on the car ride to Florida that we're having in a couple weeks. And you could do it in the car. So that's the fun thing about that is you could do it anywhere. I don't have to be here in my craft room. I could be traveling and do that in the car. So it's going to be fun. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this sew along and you participate in the next one, which is going to be the Main Street Celebration bench pillow. My goal for future sew alongs, I only have one for sure I know I'm doing because I have everything for it already. And that's going to be the Halloween quilt from Kimberbell, Candy Corn Quilt Shop. But I do want to expand and try other big projects from other places other than Kimberbell. And I got some great recommendations for Designs by Juju and Sweet Pea embroidery. So if you have a favorite project from Designs by Juju or Sweet Pea that you would love to see done in a sew along, send me a message on Facebook, or you can email me at hello@carlybell.com. It's really helpful too if you send me like the link to the design so I could see it and everything. And I will put that on my list for future sew alongs. But I know I definitely want to start the Candy Corn Quilt Shop as soon as the kids go back to school in August, so that we'll have it done by October. Because that one's going to take a while. I think that one's a bigger quilt than this Oh So Delightful quilt. All right. Okay, let's see. Retha says Shelly Samola is great too. Okay, send me her information, Retha. I'm not familiar with her. But I would love to check out all the other fun projects that are out there. And that's it for today. Thank you so much. I hope to see you next time. I won't be back live on YouTube till August. So I'm taking the summer off. There's going to be, I just did May's Sip and Stitch where we made luggage tags. We did these last Friday, so you could go watch the replay of those on my YouTube channel. The Main Street Celebration videos are not live. Those I'm recording and just uploading because I never know when I'm going to do them. But I won't be live again until August rolls around, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun things going on in August. I'm excited. I have a lot of planning to do this summer. But I'll be home with my kids and I'll be traveling. We got some summer vacations, and we're going to the Applique Getaway in Dallas, Texas on July 17th through the 20th. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me or message me on Facebook. This is an in-person embroidery event. It's so much fun. Lots of great educational classes, like machine demos, and a vendor hall of your shopping dreams. It's really, really fun in that they have all kinds of fun vendors where you can buy embroidery blanks and supplies and just meet all kinds of people that are like, we're all on that same page where we love this stuff, because there's not many friends and family I have that love all of this. Like y'all know, we do. So it's nice to be in a room with people that have the same enthusiasm that you have for crafting and sewing and embroidery. So yay, I'm so glad, Sherry, you're coming again. Lady Bear, I'm excited. Yay. So when it gets closer, I'm going to put a email out or a feeler out on Facebook, and we'll make our own little group chat of all the people that are going so that we can plan to meet up and everything at the Applique Getaway and meet in person. Yay. And my girls will be with me. That's going to be interesting. It's the first time I'm bringing them, and it's going to be solo. So it's going to be fun. I told Abigail she's going to work. She's going to work in the booth and no playing around. All right. Sherry says her husband Wes is coming so we can have an extra empty suitcase. That's my girl. Yes. I need 2 extra empty suitcases because I need one for vendor shopping at Applique Getaway, and then I'm going to take a ride down to Waco after it's over, and I'm going to find Joanna Gaines and go shopping at her Magnolia Market place, which is like all home decor stuff I'm obsessed with. But yeah, I need 2 empty bags. We're going to see how that goes. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining me on this sew along. It's been a blast. I'm so glad to have it done. I'm going to go finish tucking in the binding that I didn't sew on here and get my kids. And it's officially school's out for summer. I'm going to be blasting Pink Floyd when Elise gets in the car. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.